What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Take Three podcast. My name is Brandon, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Alex here on a Tuesday afternoon, just off of a Monday night football game, probably the most New England football game that I've ever seen out of Bill Belichick in my entire lifetime, at least. After watching 20 years of football, I don't think I've ever seen quite a game. How it unfolded, it was so funny to watch. The entire world knew what the Patriots are going to do, and they still somehow go on the road and do it. You know, I mean, the Patriots, they're surging for a reason. Winners of seven in a row. Everything's going good. We see Mac Jones doesn't even need to throw three pass attempts. We'll kind of get into that, but they find a way to win. And the dark side is suddenly, you could call them the favorite to win the AFC. It's kind of scary when you think about it. I mean, other business across the league, you look at the Bucks get it going again. They win in Atlanta. The Cardinals coming off the bye week. Kyler not looking, I wouldn't say looking great. They didn't really do anything highlight reel, but they get the job done in Chicago. That's always a good dub. You watch Pittsburgh defend home field. That was a fun one we'll get into. They find a way to steal one from the Ravens. Kansas City, defensive team maybe now. We'll talk about that a little bit. They win five straight after defeating Denver on Sunday Night Football. And then we watch the Bengals once again, Jekyll and Hyde us and get smokes. I mean, we have quite a bit interesting stuff to kind of unpack on this Tuesday. How are you feeling coming off of the weekend after week 13?
I'm feeling pretty good. I had another good weekend betting wise. I was positive on the spreads. I think we all were. It felt like a pretty easy spread week. A lot of favorites got it done, but it was a good week. AFC looks like a logjam for the wild card, but the Patriots are back on top. That's fun. And yeah, I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody had a good week. I think it was 2-10-3s, and then you, I believe, went 9-4. So, I mean, everybody's rolling. Everybody had a solid week. And as you mentioned, I would say pretty easy week on the spreads outside of a few games that we flip-flopped and picked different ones on, but altogether easy. But I mean, yeah, let's jump straight into it. We got to start off Monday Night Football. New England heads up to Buffalo. We saw all the pregame pictures, the 35-mile-an-hour winds with the 50-mile-an-hour gusts. We saw field goal kickers aiming into the stands on the left and the ball blowing all the way to the right. It was New England and Buffalo. It's kind of what we expected. Bill Belichick came out and said, you know what, we're just going to run the ball all day. We're not going to ask Mac Jones to do anything. We're not going to put any pressure on him. And he threw the ball three times. And guess what? It worked. The defense held their court, obviously heavy. Damian Harris, 10 carries, 111 touchdown. And then actually I should say heavy Ramondre Stevenson. He had 24 carries in the bulk of the load. But obviously Damian Harris's big run in the first quarter is the one that we all remember. And we all remember Mac Jones only throwing three passes, nearly a perfect day for Mac Jones. And he got himself some QB sneaks on the other side. Josh Allen, 50% on the completions, 15 of 30, $145, a touchdown, no picks. And they just couldn't really establish anything on the ground. Devin Singletary, 10 carries, 36 yards. Josh Allen himself had 6. I was surprised to not see Josh Allen, maybe some more designed runs. Brian Dable's offense, I guess he just didn't want to dial it up, knowing the conditions. I thought with the win, they would have less throws and more of a designed Josh Allen runs, get him out on the perimeter, kind of stress out that New England defense a little bit, but they couldn't do it. And what do we see? The Patriots roll into Buffalo and kind of stomp their foot down. They had an off year last year, but they're back. They lead the AFC now. They lead the AFC East, obviously. They're surging. So, I mean, what do you think coming off of a Monday Night Football? Not the greatest game, but it was sure as hell funny to watch. Though, just you knew every play was halfback dive, QB sneak, or a toss out of New England.
Yeah, so from the New England Patriots side, nothing surprised me at all. Maybe the fact that it was literally only 3 passes. That's impressive. That was so Bill Belichick-esque. I mean, it was smart. It got the job done, obviously. But damn, I thought the NFC Championship game with the Niners 2 years ago was impressive, where Jimmy Garoppolo threw it like 10 times. This was next level. But for Buffalo, man, that offense, right? Because like you already know the Bills' run game is not great. They have a hard time getting productive plays from the run game consistently. And you knew the conditions going into the game. So I'm still kind of surprised there was 30 throws from Josh Allen still. This Bills team is built through the air, right? We all know Josh Allen, big arm. And they were saying on the broadcast, their idea was like he has such a big, strong arm, kind of cut through the wind, but like it's just not realistic in these conditions most of the time. He only completed 50% of his passes. And I'm right there with you, dude. the fact that Josh Allen only carried the ball 6 times was a little alarming for me. I figured, like, especially you see New England just run, 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 run. You know, you're having such a hard time getting things done through the air. I figured that obviously you got to get it done on the ground. So I figured you get more design runs for Josh Allen, right? Keep him involved, keep it going. It probably would have been a little more productive. I mean, it's just one of those games, right? It's hard. Like if I'm Buffalo and I'm looking at a silver lining, it's like, you know that your offense attacks through the air and you can't really get going and do what you do well in those conditions. However, if you play in Buffalo and you're the franchise guy in Buffalo, like you got to get that run game going, and the coaches need to focus on the run game. And then from the quarterback perspective, you got to be able to play in those conditions because you play for Buffalo. You can't escape that. So I don't know. Very New England-esque game. I'm not surprised at the outcome at all. I was just surprised that they still had Josh Allen throw the ball 30 times. I would have definitely hit the under on that if I was told he's going to throw it 30 times in these conditions.
Exactly. Would you hit the under on the Mac Jones 3 throws?
I actually took the over on Mac Jones because I found one at like 125. It was an incredibly low yardage, and I was like, okay, whatever. But 19 yards, a little off.
That's what I'm saying. I made sure I placed my bet under 19 and a half yards, cashed it. It's like, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, it was just surprising to see Buffalo. They're kind of spiraling fast. And to have Josh Allen just drop back and throw it 30 times, I think he's the one quarterback. I mean, there's a couple quarterbacks that I would trust, but I mean, with his arm, I don't think it was really an issue throwing through the wind, but it was just a couple Dawson Knox drops didn't help them, especially early in the day. And then, yeah, just not being able to get Devin Singletary pounding, it was cause for concern on their end. As you mentioned, they're so heavy through the air, and you know what the conditions are going to be in the Northeast. You know what the conditions, if you're going to Baltimore, is going to be. It's going to be cold. It's probably going to be windy, and it's not going to be easy to play in. So they're really a team that kind of has to find that identity at least a little bit on the ground and not rely heavy through the air. Because, I mean, I thought outside of one run, their defense actually played pretty good. I mean, they get obviously just chewed up for little 3-yard, 4-yard runs that kills you, but they only really let up the one home run right in the first quarter to Damian Harris. But for a defense that kind of struggled against the run, and we watched them get murdered against Jonathan Taylor, I sat there and watched, and I was like, oh shit, like they're going to get smoked on the run. The second Damian Harris broke that, I was like, yeah, we're going to watch another Jonathan Taylor day. But they kind of settled in and didn't let up big gash plays, which was, I guess, a little encouraging coming out of a loss. But the Bills have quite a bit to figure out on the offensive side of the ball. So, I mean, anything to add on Monday night as we kind of watch?
I was going to say, like, the silver lining is the conditions for Buffalo, right? If you're trying to like take something positive from it, you know that like that those conditions hinder your offense so much. But you already made the point. You got to play in Baltimore. You got to play in Buffalo. You're going to have to go to New England still. They got to play the Patriots one more time. So it's like, it might not be as bad as Monday night was because those wins were ridiculous, but like you got to be able to be productive in those conditions.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not Sean McDermott and Brian Dable's like first on the job. Like, you know, when you sign a contract to coach in Buffalo, when it gets to November, December, January, it's gonna be cold as shit, and there's a chance it's windy as hell. And yeah, as you mentioned, we probably won't see 50-mile-an-hour gusts. That was just absolutely amazing to see. The wind probably will not be that bad, but it's still gonna be cold and it's gonna be windy to some effect. So yeah, the Bills, they have to figure out some way to get some running going and definitely get some more carries out of Josh Allen if the conditions are going to be that bad. They just didn't have a good game plan. It felt like New England they were ready, right? They stuck to the script. They had 3 plays on the play sheet and they stuck to it. And you see a team in Buffalo who kind of, I don't know, felt maybe unprepared on the offensive side of the ball for what the conditions were. But hey, we'll move forward. They'll meet again in a few weeks in New England. Honestly, I hope it's like 50-mile-an-hour winds again, just to see if Buffalo can adjust, right? Because you can kind of say the conditions caught you off guard the first time. If it happens again, then it's really on you. But it's pretty alarming as the Patriots continue to surge in the AFC.
Yeah, but even then, it's like hard to even say they caught you off guard. It's like you're playing in Buffalo. You knew the weather report. They were talking about the weather all week long heading into the Monday night game. So they had a good idea. It's just, I don't know. Just more design runs for Josh Allen in that situation. I thought they could have been a little better prepared offensively, at least running the ball.
Exactly. But yeah, credit to New England. Yeah, they keep it going and they are, they're looking like the favorites. Let's move on real quick. Let's move into Pittsburgh. We'll cover now the team that gave the Patriots control of the 1 seed in the AFC. But the Baltimore Ravens roll into Pittsburgh to take on Big Ben and the Steelers. You know how I love taking the randomly taking Steelers underdog picks. And it once again finds a way to pay off. The Steelers win 20-19. Obviously, the big highlight is Big Ben's last drive, where he actually looked good driving them down the field to take the lead. And then obviously we watched Lamar come back and he had a so-so day, but finds a way to lead them down, scored the touchdown. I actually love John Harbaugh's decision to leave them out there and go for two, like screw overtime at that point. Like, you have all the momentum in the game, you might as well go for the win. And ball goes off Mark Andrews' hands, 20-19. That's a wrap. They fall to 8-4. It was like, honestly, to start off, I mean, a 10-3 game for most of it, and then it climbed up to, I think it was 13-3 at one point. It just felt like typical Steelers Ravens, sloppy, nothing really amazing, no highlight plays. And then you kind of see the fourth quarter, the offenses pick up. Pittsburgh outscores them 17-9 and just finds a way to keep it going. Mike Tomlin might be the best guy at scratching out 9 and 10 win seasons to keep the job going. And obviously, it's a good win for the Pittsburgh Steelers, considering all the rumors and distractions surrounding Big Ben that came out earlier in the week with Schefter's report that said he's told close people and old teammates that this is his last year in Pittsburgh, and it could be his last year altogether, as I also heard that he doesn't really have any plans to play for anybody else, but obviously things can change. So, I mean, what do we make of this? The Ravens, once again, don't look amazing on offense, and obviously they walk away with a loss. They're now they're 8-4. They fall a game back of the 1 seed. Are you concerned with Baltimore coming out of this game?
I expected more out of their defense, I would say, especially on that last drive. But hey, kudos to Big Ben and the Steelers. They got it going. I'm still not super worried about Baltimore because all these AFC teams just keep beating up on each other. Whenever one team looks really dominant, they tend to lay an egg right after. So it's hard to feel like extremely dominant and confident about any of these AFC teams, except maybe the one we just talked about. New England's been rolling. Other than them, it's been like a lot of look good, then look bad, look good, then look bad. I do love the 2-point conversion call, like playing with balls, like go for the win. I didn't hate it as a degenerate gambler because I needed overtime to cover. But other than that, I love the calls for the Ravens. I'm surprised they let the Steelers like drive it down, but credit to the Steelers. They got TJ Watt, Fitzpatrick. They got their defense going again. And it felt like a classic Steelers-Ravens game, right? Like no matter who's on these rosters, it's always like a defensive slugfest, and the offenses pop off at the end for a little bit, or maybe it's at the beginning. It's never sustained offense. It just felt like a classic Ravens-Steelers game. Shout out to the Steelers getting it done at home. And I like the confidence that Baltimore has to just go for two and just put it all on the line. And I think they need to like just stick with that mentality. They will. They're not going to be discouraged because of one result, which I love. That's why I like the Ravens a lot. They're a very analytical franchise. They make smart decisions, and I love going for it like that. I'm a big fan of just going for the wins. And when you have Lamar Jackson, you go for it. And, bounce off Mark Andrews' hands. They probably should have had it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. They're still struggling a little bit on the offensive side. I failed to mention as well, Marlon Humphrey. They lose another corner for the year, as well as Marcus Peters was gone earlier in the year. They lose now Marlon Humphrey, probably their star, their number one corner for the remainder of the season, as well with a torn pec. Their offensive line play was kind of concerning. They allow 7 sacks. TJ Watt had 3. Go have a day. That's always good when you're the Steelers, who just paid TJ Watt early in the year, and I believe he has like 16 sacks now in 10 games. So he's on a tear. It's really paying off for them. But yeah, I mean, I like the aggressiveness out of both teams, to be honest. I didn't even mention Pittsburgh's aggressiveness towards the end. They could have literally sat on the ball, took a field goal, right, gone up. I believe it would have been 2 points at the time, and it would have still gave the Ravens the ball back, right? And then the possibility you lose to Justin Tucker, and we know how good Justin Tucker is. He's kicked in Pittsburgh against the Steelers in Pittsburgh. He's played plenty of games there. Most kickers struggle there, but he's not one of the guys that I would imagine having issues. So, I mean, both teams showed some balls to really want to put it down and go for the win at the end. But yeah, I mean, the Ravens, they concern me a little bit. Injuries continue to pile up, but I mean, they have Lamar Jackson, right? We're not talking about Joe Burrow here, who finds a way to piss away games. We'll talk about that. But yeah, so I mean, it's kind of dwindling. They're losing bodies, but I mean, you have Lamar, and John Harbaugh. So
the biggest thing that worries me for the Ravens is obviously the injuries defensively, because like, yeah, losing Humphrey, like the corners, you're getting hurt there. But is the remaining schedule, right? They just gave up a tough loss to the Steelers. That's unfortunate because you got to follow it up with they go to Cleveland, then they have Green Bay visit them, then they go to Cincinnati, then they have the Rams visit them, and then they finish up with the Steelers at home. So like that's a gauntlet to end the year. That's what really worries me for Baltimore.
Exactly. And your offense isn't exactly humming at this time. You're losing bodies and then tough schedule, similar to Cincy, who we'll get into. They have a tough schedule as well. So yeah, I mean, it gets interesting as we kind of we're getting to that point. The season's slowly rolling to an end, and we're starting to see one team in New England side playing their best football, and then we're seeing another team in Baltimore kind of get hurt, continue on with their motto really all year has just been next man up with the amount of injuries. I don't think I've seen another team have this many like key guys with season-ending injuries like they have. But they'll keep it chugging, right? They'll find a way. They found a way to get this far at 8-4. Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh, they'll do the damn thing. I think. I still expect them to make the playoffs. How far they go, though, we'll find out. Next topic, really on the slate, we'll go to another AFC North team that we're kind of flip flopping with every single week, right? I feel like every week we come on here and we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. Are they back? Are they not back? Are they? What are they doing? They go down 24-0 to the Chargers. I shut it off right then and there. I was like, yep. I took the Bengals -3. Huge mistake. I don't know. I even said last week that I was not buying into the Bengals anymore. I'm over them. Another 2 interceptions out of Joe Burrow. I mean, it was beat from the start, right? You go down 24-0. You're kind of done. You can't really establish the run game that we talked about last week, how they'd want to establish the run game. Some fumbles out of Joe Mixon. Obviously, he fumbled, which was returned for 6 to go along with the 2 Joe Burrow interceptions. They're just a young team, right? A young group. The O-line isn't great, and they just got overwhelmed. I guess that's the safest way to say it. The Chargers, who are another like the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde team too. They might be the West Coast Bengals if we're being honest. Like they find a way. They're both 7-5 now coming out of it. Are we buying into the Chargers? Where are we at with the Bengals? I mean, what do we do with these teams? I kind of just want to push them both to the side. I don't want to buy any stock in either of them. I just think they're both definitely the Bengals side, too young. Obviously, Joe Burrow, second year. Zach Taylor is not really the greatest coach I've ever seen. And then obviously Justin Herbert, another second-year guy, Brandon Staley, rookie head coach. I just don't know if I can buy in to either of these teams, but it's always a good win for the Chargers when you go on the road across the country and dominate another wild card hopeful team.
Yeah, you kind of alluded to it already. These are this is the most Jekyll and Hyde matchup probably all season, right? The Bengals look great, then they look bad. The Chargers look great, then they look bad. That even happened in this damn game. The Chargers got 24-0 start. They look great. And then at one point, Cincinnati was within 1 score. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, are the Chargers going to choke it away? And then the Chargers got going, some turnovers here and there. And then they took a big lead again and had a great fourth quarter. But it's like, I don't know. It's hard to buy stock in these teams, right? I talked about it last week that I feel like I took the Chargers, but I wasn't confident in it. It was in Cincinnati. I said a heavy Joe Mixon game. You can run on the Chargers. All of a sudden, the Chargers are stopping the run well. Joe Mixon, 19 carries, 54 yards. He averaged less than 3 yards a carry, 2.8. So all of a sudden, the Chargers got good defense there. And it's just, I don't know, these teams, it's hard to pinpoint, right? The Bengals offensive line still struggles, but then they stop the run really well defensively. Jamar Chase, he hasn't popped off in a little bit, but T. Higgins is really getting going. It's just like so hit and miss with all these guys. Both teams, to me, these teams are very similar, right? Ton of talent. Some Sundays they show up and look damn good against the best in the league, and then other Sundays they don't look good. So like, either of these teams could go far and get it done, but like I just don't think they can play that well consistently. And they both might miss the playoffs. One of them might make it. It's a log jam for the wild card. We'll get into it. So it's like I don't know. It's hard to buy stock in these teams. The one thing I want to pat myself on the back for: Mike Williams, 110 yards. Got him going. Justin Herbert over 300. I swear there's a correlation there. Keenan 5 for 34 and 2. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was right about the Chargers, but it doesn't feel good. Like these are just so Jekyll and Hyde. I don't want to buy stock in these teams. It's like any given Sunday for these guys.
Yeah, that's complete facts. I don't know. Yeah, I can't trust either of them. If there's one thing I would trust, the Chargers have an easier schedule. Obviously, they put the Giants, who are slated to start Jake Fromm this week at home, and it's like Jake
Yikes.
Fromm hasn't played football. I don't think he's played football since he was at Georgia. So they get Giants at home, Chiefs at home, then they go on the road to play the Texans. That's pretty business as usual against the Texans. Everybody kind of beats up on them now. Then they get the Broncos, but that's at home, so they should be able to avenge that will not have to go on the road. Then they finish up in Las Vegas. When you look at the Bengals schedule, they play the Niners. They go to Denver, which is always hard to play at. They play Baltimore, Kansas City, and at Cleveland down the stretch. So it's like the Bengals they're losing games and they're entering the gauntlet, right? This was really like the first week of the gauntlet finish out of them. And I just don't like what I saw. You mentioned perfectly the run, right? We made fun of the Chargers run defense and they fill gaps and they shut it down. And you hit it also on the nail on the head with the Jekyll and Hyde mid game, right? Yeah, the when I shut it off and then I look again and I see the Bengals back in it, I'm like, shit, like the Bengals -3, the picks right back in play. Like I knew this team had it, and then 17-0 fourth quarter got washed. And that ended that. I will take one pick off of Joe Burrow. I forgot that the ball literally hit Jamar Chase in the hands and bounced into the defender. So yeah, that's on me for the 2 picks. I'll give him just credit for the one. Jamar Chase can have the other. Not really great, but I mean, I guess if there's one bright spot, if you're a Bengals fan, T. Higgins did his thing, 138 and a touchdown. They just got to not turn the rock over. You can't have the Joe Mixon fumble for 6 points. It's another free touchdown you give up, and obviously you can't have the ball bounce out of your hands and into the other team's hands if you're Jamar Chase, because that's another play where you'd be in the red zone and you'd be on the cusp of scoring. So that those type of things, they change games fast. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm buying any stock in any of these teams. If I had to pick one right here to make the playoffs, I'd probably lean Chargers just because they have a little bit easier of a schedule down the stretch looking at things. But shit, not a confident pick of the Chargers out of me.
Yeah, and Cincinnati offensively has still yet to get T. Higgins and Jamar Chase like really going at the same time. Because when Jamar was like really popping off in the first half of the year, T. Higgins was either hurt or not playing great. And now T. Higgins is back in a groove. And not that Jamar Chase is playing terrible. Yeah, he had that drop and for the pick, but it's just the offense have yet to get firing on all cylinders to have that game where Higgins is going off and Chase and Mixon. It's like the talent is there. You see it, but once again, it's not all put together still.
Yeah, they're a young group. So, I mean, this could be used as a year where you made some progress and then you go into next year, clean up the things that you kind of let you down this year. And then next year you kick in the real expectations. So, I mean, it's still technically a positive year, I'd say, for the Bengals because they've been the laughing stock of the league for quite some time now. But yeah, I mean, when you kind of win games and start how they did to kind of look at yourself trending downwards and out of the playoffs isn't a positive thing. But hey, we'll see where these both teams head. I could be crazy enough, and the Bengals could not lose another game, and then the Chargers will lose every single game. And yeah, but we'll see how it goes. Next team up on it, we'll head over to another AFC West team, maybe a new defensive team. We head to Arrowhead Stadium, the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, Sunday Night Football, they take on the Denver Broncos, division rival at home. They win 22-9 offense. Not great once again. Pat Mahomes, I don't think he threw for a touchdown. He had 15-29, a buck 84, no touchdowns and a pick. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 54 yards on 14 touches. The offense just wasn't it. I believe Daniel Sorensen had a pick six, which is hilarious because he's been awful all year. But he had a pick six to get him going, and then I believe they scored. Yeah, the Chiefs scored on their first drive, 14-play drive, and that's where I thought I was like, here comes the ass whooping, right? Like this is going to be an ass whooping. After Patrick Mahomes ran it in, I was like, yep, here we go. And then nope, it was just nothing. Defense, though, shout out to the defense. They really stifled everything the Broncos had to offer outside of Javonte Williams, who had kind of a hell of a day, 23 carries, 102 on the ground, and then he had 6 catches for 76 and a touchdown. So, I mean, he's the bright spot. He's clearly like that guy is a legit back, I would say. Tough to tackle, good in the pass game, good in the run game, obviously. So Denver has something there. Teddy Two Gloves, I mean, he tried to manage it through some picks. They didn't have it. It looked like a Vic Fangio team, but I mean, if you're on the other side, the Chiefs, they're slowly, as I watch them, molding into a defensive team. The offense not great. Patrick Mahomes, not great. Ball bounces off Tyreek Hill's hands for an interception. Obviously, that's unfortunate, but it goes on Pat Mahomes' stat line. The Chiefs win. They're 5 straight wins. They continue the streak of, I believe it's 6 straight games where they score 25 or less at home. So, I mean, the Chiefs, they're winning games, but they're doing it in another fashion. They still have all the weapons, but they're kind of winning in a way, at least with this Chiefs group that we've watched for the past couple of years, where it's been offense, offense, offense. I see them slowly flipping it around and relying on Steve Spagnuolo's defense, and they're becoming more of a defensive team as the offense still isn't clicking in week 13 as we've seen it. I think we've seen 1 week against the Raiders where they were really clicking on all cylinders. And since then, it's kind of been back to the same team. So I don't know if you're happy if you're a Chiefs fan, right? Your defense is showing up, the unit that kind of let you down at the beginning of the year and was letting up 30 points a game and getting you smoked off the field, or do you want to see that offense? Obviously, you want to see the offense give you a little bit more and look better when they're out there. But I think if you're a Chiefs fan, you'll take the defense. If you got to be a defensive team and you make the Super Bowl somehow, you'll take that over scoring 50 points and letting up 55 points by your defense. So, I mean, what do we make out of this? Obviously, 5 straight for Kansas City. They get themselves a 1-game lead in the AFC West, and they're trending upwards, at least defensively, I would say, at this point.
Yeah, for Kansas City, I would be really encouraged and happy about the defense. That's another good defensive performance. And as bad or as like disappointed as we are, whatever word you want to use with the offense, like they still covered the spread. They won by 13 points. I mean, it just could like from what we saw at the beginning of the year, I think this is much better. Like, yeah, the offensive struggling really hard, but this was a good Denver defense. So it's like I expect more out of that offense. Don't get me wrong. They're not off the hook. They need to get better, especially if they're going to make it back to the Super Bowl for a 3rd year in a row, which is very much on the table right now. You need more from the offense. But, like, I'm just very encouraged with Kansas City's defense. Like, because the last 2 Chiefs teams, the defense has put it together at times, but never for, like, super long extended stretches. It was all about Patrick Mahomes and that offense. And now this team is learning new ways to win. They're learning how to win defensively. And I think that's a big deal. And then real quick, just to touch on the Broncos, I mean, 6-6, they just don't have all the pieces there. They have a good roster. If they just had a damn good quarterback, I don't know, maybe someone that wants to leave a different spot. But if he were to go there, they'd be instantly contenders. So, like, I'm encouraged with Denver. Like they don't have the quarterback and they're missing a few pieces here and there. But back to the Chiefs real quick. Would you give that offensive performance more credit to just the Chiefs themselves struggling or to Denver's defense? Because Denver's defense is damn good.
Yeah, no, Denver's defense was they were very good on Sunday night, to be honest. They were the only reason that Denver honestly stuck around. Without that defense, it probably is a blowout. So, yeah, I'd say a little bit credit to Denver, but then obviously you watch some sidearm missed throws by Patrick Mahomes. He really wasn't great. I believe it's like his 6th straight game, or 6th time this year with a sub-75 passer rating. And in his first 4 seasons, he only had it happen twice. So, I mean, he's definitely been misfiring quite a bit. But, yeah, I'd definitely say Denver's defense was game. So I wouldn't put it 100% on the Chiefs offense, as Denver came out game on the defensive side, just didn't have it on offense.
And I agree with you. And like that's the reason I have less concern, because if there's one unit to get it together, right, it's the unit led by Patrick Mahomes, and you get to throw to Kelsey and Hill. So like if I'm the Chiefs, I feel very encouraged. You still covered the spread. You still got a 2-possession win, double digits. Your defense played lights out, and you played a damn good defensive unit. I would just like take this week, move on, and learn from it, because it's hard not to be encouraged with Kansas City. Yeah, their offense struggled, but like I said, if there's one unit to get it together, it's that offense. Because I did not think that defense would be able to get it together, but they got healthy, they had a couple additions, and then they're rolling. So like I would still feel good if I'm Kansas City from this game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anytime the defense shows up, I don't know what the current landscape of the AFC, if the offense ever really has to get clicking like they have, right? When you look at New England, they're not really a team that's going to light it up on the scoreboard. Buffalo, obviously, with their offensive struggles, they're not really going to light it up on the scoreboard. Baltimore has chances to light it up, but their O-line's pretty bad, and they're not really lighting it up on the scoreboard. So you look at them, there's no real pressure. I mean, obviously, you want to have cleaner performances out of your offense. I could do with a little less of the sidearm fancy shit that Chris Collinsworth, like, they love that stuff, but it's just like I don't see the reason to do it at all times. But yeah, I mean, they don't really, the way I look at the landscape of the AFC, I don't know if they really have to get clicking to that 35, 40 points a game offense, how they were just smoking teams in the past 2 to 3 years, right? If they keep that defense rolling at a high rate, everybody stays healthy. They're in good position because that offense at any time, even if it's for a quarter, can pop off in a playoff game and carry that team. I don't even, yes, I don't know if you'll actually even see them return to that form this year. It just doesn't seem like through 13 weeks it's
They
really
might
gonna.
not.
Yeah, it doesn't. Honestly, if I had to bet, I'd say no. They just don't seem like that type of team this year. It feels weird to even say that when you look at a Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid led team. We're just so used to the Chiefs being that explosive on offense, but lucky for them, the top of the AFC, they're not really burning up the scoreboard and blowing teams out. So if you play good defense and just cut the turnovers, right? Like the intercept, because you don't want to give a Belichick team another possession on an interception and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, you got to be encouraged by the defense that continues to roll. Andy Reid moves to 20-3 coming off a bye. I didn't even know Pat Mahomes is 8-0 against Denver, so he dominates Denver.
Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean the Chiefs. It's a good win. I'd still say good defensive win. I guess we were so spoiled with them doing all the special shit on offense the past 2 years. That's just so disappointing to not see that. But hey, good teams find ways to win, right? So if you got to do it the other way, you'll take it if you're a Chiefs fan. Um, Keeping it moving. Just a random, I guess, yeah, random topic. Now that we kind of sit back, we're in week 13, so we're kind of looking at the playoff picture. At this point, obviously, 7 spots on the line. We watched the Patriots and the Cardinals take the top. Obviously, the 3 wild card spots are up for grab. When you look in the AFC right now, the Chargers, Bengals, and Bills are all in there at 7-5. But when you look at the teams on the bubble, right, you get the Steelers 6-5, Colts 7-6, Raiders 6-6, Browns 6-6, Broncos 6-6, Dolphins winners of 5 straight. Probably going to be 6 straight when they play the Giants this weekend, so they could be sitting at 7-7. It's jam packed in the AFC. I mean, we'll sit here. I guess we'll talk about the AFC for a little bit before we switch over to the NFC. I mean, it's jam packed. Is there any of these teams? Obviously, the 3 wild card spots that will be up for grab, and even the AFC West is it's still up for grabs. Although we assume that the Chiefs will hold on. But I mean, who do you like in this AFC wild card picture, at least to rise up? Do you like somebody to rise up that's kind of on the bubble right now? Or do you think these 3 teams that are slotted in right now will hold on to their spots going down the backstretch?
So what are the 3 that are slotted in at the moment? Because I have 3 teams I would probably take.
Okay, so the 3 that are in right now, we have the Chiefs obviously holding a 1-game lead in the AFC West. We'll assume they win the AFC West. So it'd be the Chargers at 7-5. The Bengals at 7-5, and the Bills are 7-5, holding on to that last spot.
Okay, so the 3 teams I wrote down were Colts, Chargers, and Bills. I feel really good about the Bills locking it in. I like the Chargers for schedule reasons, and I really like the Colts because they've gotten it humming, but they scare me because of schedule reasons. They have a bye, and then they have New England, Arizona, the Raiders, and the Jags. So like they probably need to win 3 of those last 4 because they have 6 losses already, not 5. So the Colts make me nervous, but I'm gonna slot them in still because I think they've just been playing so well defensively. Jonathan Taylor's on a different level. When you don't make Carson Wentz do too much, he's damn efficient and he's been good. So like I like the Bills, the Colts, and the Chargers. And if I had to pick one of those 3 to like go the furthest, I'd probably pick the Colts. I really feel like the Colts, if they do get there and they slide in, they're going to be that one wild card team that the top seeds don't want to play right now.
Yeah, facts. I would not disagree with that. I like the Chargers and the Bills as well. I assume the Bills will find a way. Obviously, I agree with you. The Chargers for scheduling, and yeah, I think the Bengals will fall out. And I kind of do like the Colts as much as I hate to say it. I feel like they'll be able to. They have to win 3 of 4. I would say if they go 4-0, obviously they're definitely in. So they got to steal. Either looking at it, they got to steal the Patriots or the Cardinals game on Christmas Day. That's weird. And they play on Christmas. day into Arizona. So they're gonna have to steal one of those, right? Win 3 out of 4. They get a Raiders game at home, and then the Jags. Everybody beats Urban Meyer's Jags. And yeah, I agree. I was saying it during that Tampa game when they were dominating and they were kind of up on Tampa, and it looked like they were going to win. Is that team could be the team that nobody wants to mess with in the AFC if they do get in. Frank Reich's obviously smart. Carson Wentz has been he's been managing games well. He's been good, I'd say. Obviously gets the job done. He secured us our first round pick. Shout outs to him. And then Jonathan Taylor, hard to ignore. He's been an absolute beast on the ground. So yeah, I wouldn't disagree with those picks as well. And then I'm right on there as well with nobody would want to play the Colts if they somehow find their way into the playoffs.
The craziest part about this wild card, if I am correct in those 3 teams, would mean that the AFC North would only field one playoff team, which is kind of crazy because I think everybody with confidence assumed they were going to field the Ravens and the Browns at the start of the year. And even now they can still field a team. But like if it does turn out that the AFC North only gets a division winner in there, that's pretty crazy. They just beat up on each other a little too much.
Yeah, for sure. It's tough on every team, literally every team. Like if Miami didn't suck so much out of the stretch,
Yeah.
I would put them up there. They're surging too, is playing well. They have the defense, obviously, but I just think they lost too many games out of the gates, too much ground to make up, one would say. But yeah, now moving on to the NFC, who's like they're kind of equally as packed when you look at the wild card. Obviously, division leaders right now. We have Arizona, obviously in the West, 10-2. The Packers 9-3 in the North, and then you get the Buccaneers 9-3 in the NFC South, and then the Cowboys still holding on. Haven't played great football lately. They are 8-4. And first in the NFC East. And then it's weird to say this, but wild card spots right now, you got the Rams 8-4. Everybody assumes they're probably a lock to get in for sure. They're definitely a lock. They would literally have to collapse to not make it. So we'll just give the Rams, really the NFC. It's a battle for the last 2 wild card spots right now. The Washington football team, they've continued their surge since Chase Young got hurt. Really, it's weird to say after going on the road and beating the Raiders. They're 6-6 right now. The Niners are also 6-6 after losing to the Seahawks in Seattle this weekend. And then on the bubble, we got our bubble teams, the 6-7 Eagles, the 5-7 Vikings, the 5-7 Panthers, the 5-7 Falcons, and the 5-7 Saints. Obviously, a couple of those Saints and Falcons probably no chance. Honestly, I'll say even Panthers don't really have much of a chance. I wouldn't say they fired their own coordinator. Things are kind of getting dysfunctional over in Pantherland. But I guess for hypothetical, we'll say they're still in it. So, I mean, who do you like to snag these last 2 wildcard slots in the NFC, as we'll assume the Rams hold the 5th spot?
Yeah, I'm right there with you on the Rams being a lock. It makes the NFC a little bit different. So if we're only talking about 2 spots. You asked me like 2 months ago, I would have said the Saints get one of them for sure with my boy Jameis. They have fallen, makes me sad. So I really can't take the NFC South teams. I would have strongly considered the Vikings if they didn't just choke away against the Lions. I think that's a huge loss for their playoff chances. I kind of have them out. To me, it's between the last 3 spots are between Washington, Philadelphia, and the Niners. I want to slot the Niners in because Washington and Philadelphia play each other twice, and they're probably going to knock one. I think one of those teams is going to knock the other team out of contention. So to me, the last 2 spots, I'm going to say Niners, and then without any actual thought, I'm going to just go extremely biased here and say the Eagles.
He goes Eagles. I can respect it as a fellow Eagles fan. I'm looking at the Niners schedule. They play at the Bengals, and they got a Falcons game at home. They go to the Titans, who are kind of struggling, and then they face the Texans at home and the Rams. I just think, what are they going to go? Like at worst 3-2, honestly, 2-3. I think they'll go 3-2. I think they'll beat the Falcons. Honestly, they could beat the Bengals this week, or they could beat the Titans, even though the Titans game is on the road. The Titans just aren't the same team unless Derrick Henry somehow for Christmas comes back and plays for them. So I think the Niners, as long as they don't completely shit the bed, they're probably going to sneak their way in. And then, wow, it's just I don't even know what to say. I think 6-7, 6-7, or 6-6 Washington, 6-7 Eagles. I guess I got to ride with us, but it's it's a coin flip. Literally, you go outside, flip a coin, and that's who gets in between the Eagles and the Washington football team. No faith in the Vikings. They're falling apart. You lose to the Lions, you're kind of off of my playoff picture. It really comes down to the two head-to-head matchups, right? They get two Dallas games. And they play the Eagles twice, so it can come down to that, right? If one team somehow goes 2-0, or if somehow the Washington football team picks up a win against Dallas and we get swept by Dallas, it could play out. But yeah, I'm going to go with the bias pick. We sneak our way in, make a wild card run. I did say like 2 weeks ago, no losses on the schedule anymore. And then we lost to the Giants the very next week. So it's not confident. That's just, it's pretty much Eagles fan bias at this point. I refuse to pick Washington getting in, but I think the 49ers, the 49ers should definitely, should be a lock, but it'd be crazy if they fell apart and both of the NFC East teams. That'd be hilarious. Somehow both NFC East teams get in and the AFC North only fields one playoff team.
That's what I was going to say. That's so funny. The fact that we're sitting here, the NFC East could field multiple teams, and the AFC North might not.
Yeah, or actually it'd be three. I don't know. Yeah, if the Cowboys held the division, like division winner, that'd be so stupid. That'd be this year though, right? This year makes it makes no sense in the NFL. So I mean, it's still kind of, I think in like 2 weeks we'll really we'll have I think it'll be clear. Hopefully it'll be crystal clear who's going to make a run at the wild card slots. But that's before we jump in and look at how we dominated the spreads in week 13. Any really other stuff that came to the forefront that you saw?
Speaking about that Niners team, just disappointed that they lost to Seattle. I guess there was that finally the Russell Wilson Hall of Famer who's going to steal a win. It finally happened. He got one done, got him off the skid. And then Washington and the Raiders, very close game. Washington barely wins. I picked the Raiders, but we both knew there was going to be a coin flip. The Raiders, the Washington's just more healthy right now, so the Raiders didn't have enough offensively. But Hunter Renfrow, dude, another 9-catch, 102-yard game. He's quietly balling.
Yeah, shout outs to Mr. Roy. We'll have him on my fantasy team. Slotted him in there. No Waller. Like they had nobody else. He's going to get touches. Big W, kicker off the street. We're watching veterans miss extra points and guys that can't make any field goals, like the Jets kicker. And then you see a guy Washington brings off the street, kicks a game-winning field goal in Las Vegas. That's a good W to keep their thing rolling. Dud of the week, honestly, was probably Tom Brady throwing a pick six from the 3. That was like one of the worst, like dumbest. It's like I expect Jared Goff to do that.
It was right before halftime, too.
Yeah, it was right before halftime. They could have just kneeled it out, and he throws a pick six, and then he kneels it out. So that's hilarious. That's hilarious. They still win by 13, cover the spread. Spread was 11. So they still do the job, but that's definitely, I would say, the dud of the week. If I had to pick one thing that I just sticks out and I remember from this week, that is it right there. Let's shift over spread picks. As I said, we all kind of dominated this week. We now sit tied for second place after 13 weeks. And then John, he gets himself well above 500. Well, I shouldn't say well, he's 8 games above 500. Good spot though, 2-10 in 3 weeks. You're 9-4. This is the first week where I think all 3 of us combined really jumped out and dominated the spreads. Any games, obviously you're probably annoyed with we're all probably pissed at the Niners. Like that's one. Yeah. And then I'd say maybe Ravens, like, I don't know, taking a Kirk Cousins team to win by 8 points, even against the Dan Campbell Lions. I couldn't roll with that.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I talked about the Raiders already. That was the one that was disappointing, and the Niners, we were all disappointed with that. Ravens, Steelers, you know me, I'm just at the point where I'm just picking against the Steelers. I'm going to keep that train rolling. And then, I had a hard time picking the Lions. The Vikings did what they did. So I'm not upset. I'm 8 games below, got like a full month of the year left. I can still hit my goal of getting close to 500 or slightly above. So it's getting interesting for me.
Exactly. Yeah, we're both 8 games below. Bears felt good until Andy, and they almost still could have done it until Andy Dalton threw 4 picks. So he sucks.
His very first pass of the day was a pick, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, safe to say he sucks. I guess can't really trust him. Bengals let me down a little bit, but I'm not really that let down. I'm just happy to have a 10-3 week. Get myself into second. We're both coming for John down the backstretch. And yeah, I'm just excited going into the back thing. I would like to get over 500 as well. That's kind of a good goal. If you can go over 500, picking every single game for an entire season against the spread, I'd say that's a damn good accomplishment coming out of the year.
Agreed.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, yeah, that's really going to do it for today's show. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you have any suggestions, as we always read the comments. As always, a Spotify link, if you're an audio only listener, that Spotify link will be posted in the description. Go ahead and follow us over there, as these uploads go simultaneously on YouTube and Spotify. And yeah, thanks for listening. We'll see you on the week 14 preview.